on the needs of the people within the constituency, and I've done that very effectively.
But you've not represented them in Parliament.
Yeah, well, Vincent,
You're hardly ever there. You're more often in the tribunals.
No, well, I have been in the Dáil regularly. I remain in my office conducting work on behalf of my constituents. I haven't involved myself with committees or in the parliamentary foreign trips. I simply concentrate on doing what I do best, which is working on behalf of my constituents. But I would have to say that there is constraints on me because of my involvement in 5 different inquiries in that length of time. You're talking about the Buchanan inquiry, the McCracken Tribunal. I've had to deal with the appointment of an officer to examine my company. I've had the Moriarty Tribunal, and I have ongoing dealings with the Revenue Commissioner. So, Vincent, there's only so much you can do, and I believe that I'm conducting my duties on behalf of my constituency to the best of my ability, and they actually appreciate that.
But should you not stand aside as a TD now to concentrate on these other responsibilities or demands upon your time, and in the meantime let somebody else get on and represent the people of North Tipperary in Parliament effectively?
Well, Vincent, the fact is that the public of North Tipperary, the electorate of North Tipperary, want me to continue as their elected representative. They gave me a huge vote in the last general election. They followed that through with a huge vote in the local elections. And the level of support and commitment and enthusiasm that exists for me throughout the constituency at the moment is very heartening and encouraging. And with that support, I look forward to my re-election to Dáil Éireann.
You were a very senior strategist and I think chairman of the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party at one stage. You must look with some interest at the travails of Fine Gael in recent times. Why do you think it's all gone wrong, or appears to have all gone wrong for the party?
Well, I think firstly Fine Gael made a huge mistake in ousting John Bruton as leader. The first thing you must have in any parliamentary party is you must have respect for the leadership. I think that to change leader in the course of an election campaign was foolish. Now that they've done that, I think what Fine Gael should do is they should also give Michael Noonan an opportunity. Already I can see that they're sniping at him from behind. Fine Gael have made huge mistakes. Unfortunately, they have not capitalised on the inefficiencies of this particular government. And the real difficulty is it's not that this government is a good government. The problem is that the opposition have failed to prove themselves as a viable alternative government.
You were a fundraiser for Fine Gael for many years while John Bruton was leader, I think from about 1994 to 1996, whenever you had to resign as minister. And you had terrible difficulty in getting money for Fine Gael when you were in opposition, but then the money seemed to roll in when you were in government. How did that happen?
Well, the fact is, Vincent, that Fine Gael had a financial crisis. If Fine Gael at that particular time that I was chairman of the party, if it had been a commercial company, it would have been in liquidation. We were unable to meet the financial commitment we had to involve ourselves in huge fundraising activity, and that involved a number of dimensions. First of all, we had interest-free loans from all of the members of the parliamentary party. We had several fundraising ventures which were supported by the general membership, and yes, we did involve ourselves in raising funds from the corporate sector, and yes, it was easier to open doors and to get funds when we were in government, because it's very simple, Vincent. In politics you must have a relevance, and people like to be in a position where they feel that they can have access to the policy makers.
And what benefit would that give them?
Well, I think the fact of politics is that when Fine Gael gave so long in opposition that they had become irrelevant on the political spectrum. They came into government, and many people liked the idea of a change of government. They were very happy with the leadership of John Bruton, and they rallied to the Fine Gael party, and because of that it was much easier, because they saw it as a successful government, and because John Bruton and his government were performing well, people felt that they should be supported, and that the financial problems and pressures of Fine Gael at that time should be alleviated.
In that period that you were in government and before your resignation, what was the largest donation that Fine Gael received during that period?
I can't recall what the largest one was. I have no idea actually at this stage.
You'd have an idea of the dimension.
The scale would be, I would say, the normal subscription, the vast amount of money collected came from the general membership of the party.
But what was the largest single corporate donation?
I'd say the largest probably was the infamous one that was in the public domain in respect of Ben Dunn at the time.
That was how much?
I forget what it
Oh,
was.
yes, a huge amount.
I
Yeah.
think it was around 30,000, something like that.
Oh, it is much more than that.
And I can't remember, Vincent, to be quite honest with you.
And during this time, you were organising. You were close to Ben Dunne. You were getting money from Ben Dunne for Fine Gael candidates and for the Fine Gael party, and you personally were doling out money, Ben Dunne's money, to Fine Gael candidates. Did you expect? Well, first of all, were you deciding who to give money to in Fine Gael, or was it Ben Dunne was deciding?
Well, first of all, Vincent, I was not doling out Ben Dunne's money. Ben Dunne was giving whatever money he gave to the political system, and that included Fianna Fáil, Labour and Fine Gael. He made decisions on that. That was his own decision. I had no role or function in that. I asked him at the time to give some financial support to Fine Gael, and he did that.
But you also got money for various individual candidates. For instance, Michael Noonan personally, I think Jim Mitchell, I think Paul McGrath was it, and a few others in Fine Gael. And you.
I'm not fully aware of the complete list that Ben Dunne decided
but
himself.
But was you that were the conduit?
No, I was. Ben Dunne made his own decisions in respect of who he supported within the political establishment, and as I know from commentaries in other places that Ben Dunne supported several candidates of all political persuasions.
I know, but unusually in this instance there was a conduit, and you were the conduit.
I'm not sure what you mean by conduit.
You were the person that gave handed the money over.
No, I was not.
Did you not hand the money over in any of those instances?
No, you have your facts wrong there, Vincent. You'll have to recheck them.
Michael, did you not hand over any money, any of Ben Dunne's money, to any individual candidate?
I have no recollection whatsoever of any. But any money that Ben Dunne gave to any politician, the facts and the background and the detail of that is in the public domain, because all of that was examined at the tribunals.
Right. Apart from the monies that Ben Dunne gave, what was the other single largest donation given to Fine Gael during that time?
I don't have any recollection of it at this stage. That's in the past. It's, what is it now, 10, 12 years ago.
Sure, Michael, you're well able to remember the past.
Well, Vincent, I've had to remember so much of the past that what contributions were made to Fine Gael at that particular time, they're not of any concern to me, because what I do know is that all funds that were collected were put at the disposal of the party, and all funds were received in accordance with the terms, conditions and the regulations that prevailed at that particular time.
My understanding is, Michael, that candidates in the forthcoming election have to have a tax clearance certificate before they can be properly registered as a candidate, isn't that right?
That's correct, Vincent, and I have complied with that, and I have no difficulty in that regard.
So you have made whatever accommodations that you need to make with the revenue commissioners. Everything is settled with the revenue commissioners.
No, what I'm saying to you, Vincent, is that that particular application has been made, and I have no difficulty whatsoever with it.
But have you a tax clearance certificate?
What I'm saying to you, Vincent, is that I have no difficulty whatsoever in complying fully.
Michael, I'm asking a simple question. Do you have a tax clearance certificate or don't you?
What I'm saying to you, Vincent, is you've asked me a question, I'm answering the question, is that I have absolutely no difficulty with complying with the rules and regulations as they stand in respect of the forthcoming election. And I have no intention whatsoever of discussing my private financial affairs with the Revenue Commissioner, with you or with anybody else in the public.
No, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you simply, do you have a tax clearance certificate?
And I am answering you.
You're avoiding the question, Michael.
You asked,
well, do you have a tax clearance certificate or don't you have?
You asked me the question about compliance with the regulations as they apply to all candidates in the forthcoming general election. I am telling you that I will be standing in the forthcoming general election. I will be fully compliant with all the rules and regulations as they exist at the present time.
All right, I'll try just once more, Michael, to ask you the question. Do you have a tax clearance certificate?
And my answer to you, Vincent, is the one that I've already given you, that I am fully compliant as a candidate in this election with all of the rules and regulations governing candidates for that election.
I know that you don't want to talk about issues that are arising from the Moriarty Tribunal, and we understand that, and it must have been a very difficult ordeal for you over all these years. But the reality is that you lied to the Dáil on the issue of having a foreign bank account. Why should the electorate trust you now, since you lied to them and to the public generally before?
And I take grave exception to you putting that comment to me on public airwaves. I did not lie.
You said you didn't have a foreign bank account, and you did have.
I did not lie to the Dáil, and if you read, you've already referred, or it has been referred to in the introduction, about my statement to the Dáil. My statement to the Dáil fully outlined my position. If that was misrepresented by you and others in the media, that's your problem.
No, Michael, at the time of resignation as Minister...
I would ask you, Vincent, to withdraw the comment that I lied to the Dáil. I did not lie to the Dáil.
Okay. Did you tell the Dáil at the time...
Have you withdrawn that comment?
No, I have not.
Well, then you may terminate this interview.
Well, that's a matter for you, Michael, but I'm just putting it to you that the time that you resigned as Minister, you told the Dáil you didn't have a foreign bank account.
I did not tell the Dáil.
All right.
What you need to do...
All right. I remember it precisely, so let me repeat...
What you need to do, Vincent, what you need to do is you need to read my statement as given to the Dáil at the time of my resignation, and you should further read then the statement that I subsequently made to the Dáil following the McCracken Tribunal.
Right. I remember what you said, and what you said is that you protested that you had done nothing wrong in regard to your dealings with Ben Dunn, and as evidence of the fact that you did nothing wrong, you said, sure, if I had done anything wrong, wouldn't I have put money in a foreign bank account?
No, Vincent, I didn't
Which
say
is
that.
Precisely what you had done.
No, Vincent, I did not say that. What I said was that if I was trying to hide the fact...
That's right.
That if I was trying to hide the fact that Ben Dunn had supported the construction of my house because he owed me monies for refrigeration services delivered. If I was trying to hide that fact, I wouldn't have put the money into bricks and mortars for everyone to see. It was no secret.
You would have put it in a foreign bank account.
Yes.
But you did put money in a foreign bank account.
That's all those matters, Vincent, have been the subject of the McCracken Tribunal. They have been the subject of the Vincent, you're twisting.
Michael,
You're twisting for your own convenience. What I stated.
But sure, you've acknowledged yourself now.
I have
that you said that if you had been trying to hide the money that Ben Dunn given you, you wouldn't have put it in bricks and mortars for everyone to see. You would have put it in a foreign bank account.
Vincent, you missed the point. You conveniently do it, and you and others in the media have consistently done that over the past 6 years. I want to repeat again. I did not lie to the Dáil. And I take grave exception to the comment that you have made in that regard. My position was outlined clearly in my Dáil statement, and it was further clarified in the statement that I made to the Dáil subsequent to the conclusion of the McCracken Tribunal.
Why should the people of North Tipperary elect somebody to the legislature, somebody who has broken the law and committed a fraud, tax fraud?
Vincent, you need to get your facts together. On what basis or what grounds are you saying that I've committed a tax fraud? If that's your opinion.
Yeah, sure.
That's your opinion,
but,
Vincent.
But isn't it the case?
It is not the case.
That
it is not the case. I totally refute the suggestion that you are making to me. And it's not for you to adjudicate. It's not for you to adjudicate on my dealings with the Revenue Commissioner.
No, I'm not adjudicating on that at all.
You are, Vincent. You are, and I don't think you should do so.
But the arrangement that you yourself have referred to just now, whereby Ben Dunn paid you for services rendered, not through a normal payment in an open way, but he did so through the payments in connection with your house. And the purpose of that was to evade tax.
No, it wasn't.
Engaged in tax fraud.
I certainly was not engaged in tax fraud, and I'm sure that Ben Dunn can speak for himself. The facts are that any monies that Ben Dunn paid to Michael Lowry or to my company were for refrigeration services rendered to his company. The manner in which Ben Dunn treated that within the company was a matter for him, and he will speak for himself in respect of that. But I totally refute the suggestion that I was involved in any kind of tax fraud.
All right. Who in all the parties, indeed, have impressed you in the last 5 years in the Dáil?
I would say on the Fianna Fáil side, Brian Cowan. I believe that he has always had a precise knowledge of his brief, and he has been a consistently good performer. On the Labour benches, I would select Pat Rabbitt. I think he's very clever, he's incisive, and what I like about him is that he has a colourful and a witty way of putting his opponents under pressure. On the Fine Gael benches, Jim Higgins stands out as the one who is capable of taking political advantage of the many government mistakes that have been made. But also on Fine Gael, I would say Vincent, Ivan Yates. Ivan's loss to Fine Gael has not yet been fully realised or appreciated, and I think that Ivan had definite leadership qualities. And he's not just a loss to the Fine Gael party, but he's a loss to politics in general.
If Fine Gael are to change the leader after the next election, who do you think they should opt for?
Well, I think the first thing the Fine Gael should do is that they should stop blaming the leader for the problems and the difficulties they have. The problems within Fine Gael are far more fundamental than that. And I think what Fine Gael needs, irrespective of the outcome of the next election, is a period of stability in terms of its leadership. No leader can be effective if it has to constantly look over its shoulder at its own people. It's difficult enough to contend with the public without having to contend with those people who are there to give you the support and the backup that you need, particularly in times of difficulty.
And finally, Michael, this has been, as you yourself have said, has been an extraordinarily difficult time for you, and it has been over a protracted period, nearly 6 years now. Was there ever a time that you thought, oh God, it isn't worth it, I'm going to throw it all in politically, I mean?
I'll tell you, Vincent, you've made your contribution to that too. You haven't made life any easier for me, but anyway.
I haven't gone on about you much, really.
But anyway, no, I tell you, to be quite blunt about it, times, yes, of course. In the dark days, it was difficult to see a way forward. But I will be forever grateful for the loyalty and support that I received from my people in Tipperary, and it is their support which gave me the courage to go forward and to stand for re-election. Do I regret it? No, I don't. I'm fully committed to politics. I'm determined to continue to serve the people of North Tipperary, and as I said, I am very encouraged with the consistent level of support that I have right throughout the constituency.
What was the worst period for you?
I think the worst period, I've had many of them. I've had many long days and a lot of sleepless nights, but I would have to say possibly the publication of the McCracken report. I thought it was unduly and too harsh on me.
Were you under terrible stress appearing at the Moriarty Tribunal and giving evidence there?
Was I?
Yeah. Did you experience terrible stress?
Yes, it is hugely demanding and it's enormously stressful. The level of concentration that you have to have, and the difficulty with the tribunals, Vincent, is that somebody can make an allegation or an insinuation and it gets banner headlines and it's hanging out there in the public domain for weeks and months before you get the opportunity to go in and to correct the record. And by the time you get back to correct the record, your reputation has been damaged. And a lot of people have been caught up in an innocent way because of that.
And finally, Michael, is there a danger that in the course of the next Dáil that you would be declared a bankrupt because of your difficulties with the revenue commissioners and have to forsake your seat?
No, I can categorically state that is not an eventuality that is going to happen. I have done everything humanly possible to address the outstanding issues. I have made significant progress and I'm quite confident about the future. I'm quite confident about my ability to get re-elected with the support of the people of North Tipperary, and I'm quite confident about dealing with the outstanding issues, and yes, I will come through it financially.
Michael Lowry, thank you for talking to us.